AM 560. The Answer.
You ain't nothing but a hound dog, you're crying all the time.
How was it made possible? The money that went out of the door for COVID is a staggering sum. One president adds $9 trillion to the national debt in 4 years. And very few people can point to anywhere where that money went other than to programs and Democrat areas and people who exist on government sustenance in one form or the next. So it's fascinating to realize they're going to run on this. They call it socialism, but it's not really socialism. It's the government picking the favored citizen, the one who will continue to be a slave for the government.
It's so unbelievable that they got rid of USAID. And you saw the recent numbers. As many as, 600, 700,000 people have died because of withdrawing American aid for humanitarian purposes.
Really? Is that what your problem is? Because you had no problem killing 800,000 with COVID and God knows how many millions with the vaccine, all by NIH, ferret face scumbag Fauci, EcoHealth Alliance, and the CIA. All knowingly, wittingly creating a bioweapon and approving a vaccine that no doctor of any character or conscience would have taken.
Not tolerate false drug claims. And we saw a poster behind Senator Blumenthal making a false drug claim that vaccines saved millions of lives, specifically the COVID vaccine. Well, let's take a look at that. When someone signs consent for a vaccine, Senator Blumenthal, does the consent form say it's going to save their lives? Of course it doesn't. It's not on the FAQ. There's never been a prospective, randomized, double-blind, placebo-controlled trial ever showing that COVID-19 vaccines reduce mortality or hospitalization. There's not even a valid non-randomized study.
Dana Bash, didn't you know that? Dana Bash didn't know it, and no moron who would even consider voting Democrat at the state level, at the local level, and at any level, even understands what the words are that are coming out of his mouth.
And my job is to get as much information as I can. And what we were doing, in COVID and still with regard to these vaccines is getting the best information, the best science that we can, and putting it out there. And, sir, what you are doing is causing information to be out there that is not accurate.
Who was lying to
you?
Well, what's funny is the information that's not accurate. For instance, USAID. They saved, how many did she say, 700,000? Really? How many millions went to NGOs?
USAID gave $5 million to Open Society Foundation Macedonia. $5 million, a direct grantee. With the help of then-President Barack Obama's U.S. ambassador to Macedonia, the U.S. government spent millions of taxpayer dollars to destabilize the democratically elected center-right government by colluding with Soros. So USAID is actually funding Soros, and Soros is passing those funds to the people on the ground, the local politicians, the local judges, the local prosecutors, the local anti-corruption NGOs, the local media outlets, the local trade labor groups and unions. One NGO funded by the USAID Soros Alliance paid for the translation into Macedonian of Saul Alinsky's Rules for Radicals. So USAID paid to have Saul Alinsky street protest handbooks printed. How funny is that?
Well, what's funny is how many people don't understand the relevance of that. How many people think it's a coincidence rather than understand this is the cancer that kills nations. And up until now, everywhere but America.
And finally, new rule, Donald Trump has told 1 trillion lies, but when he says the Democratic Socialists of America are actually communist, that's not one of them. And it's not hard to prove it, just by quoting the DSA and their candidates. J.D. Vance was on the show, and I told him that if the Democratic Party keeps going in the direction of the DSA, my vote was in play. And all I heard all vacation was, oh, my God, you're a Republican now. No, that's not what I said. I said in play. And here's why. Because not a week goes by where I don't read about some newly chosen, exciting new face in the Democratic Party And then when that face opens its mouth, the Communist Manifesto or some other crazy comes out. Again, let's just read the quotes. The DSA platform says you work as much as you are able and no more than needed. If that was any closer to Karl Marx's dictum, from each according to his abilities to each according to his needs, they'd be sued for plagiarism. New York Mayor Mondani once tweeted Karl Marx's words exactly. They're not trying to hide it.
No, but what they are trying to hide is the results. For instance, in the shortest period of time, not more people have moved out. That's true in New York. Not more businesses have closed. That's true. But in the shortest period of time, the examples of communism in Europe, Central South America, China, and even in places like Chicago haven't collapsed as fast as they have in New York.
Zoran Mamdani is failing to deliver on every promise and is in fact succeeding in doing the exact opposite of everything he campaigned on. Rents have skyrocketed to record highs. $11 billion has left the state. Subway fees have increased. His taxpayer-funded grocery stores are set to cost over $30 million and put migrant grocers out of business. Subway fares have increased, and so much more in Zoran Mamdani's New York after he promised everything for free.
How could they promise anything? How could a lawyer promise? There's no fracking promise. They can't take an oath. They're bald-faced fraud liars. And all they can ever do is declare war on truth, which is what they do. They don't run on anything. They run against the truth.
When those ICE raids began, I pledged to the people of Illinois that we would not look away, that we would not stay silent, and we would fight this with everything that we had.
It's a cover-up. That's all it is. For instance, did you know, Squirrel? Bet you didn't. Chicago, just Chicago. Out of the $4.5 billion, $4.5 to $4.7 billion in SNAP benefits, Cook County gets 50% of it, and Chicago, the city, gets 67% of that, which totals $1.54 billion in just food stamps. And how many grocery stores are out of business? How could it be? Because the degenerates that are the recipients sell the benefits for cash. Now, that's how it works. See, the schemes were created for a problem, so that within that problem, you could use illegitimate government power to take more from people who would never participate, whether it's the 5 Collier counties that are now going to get the tax increase for the Ghetto Express or for Obamacare or anything else. It's always used against the decent.
California Democrats voted over the weekend to endorse a ballot measure that would impose a one-time wealth tax on the state's billionaires. California voters will decide the proposal's fate in 3 months. The measure would levy a one-time 5% tax on the wealth of California residents who are billionaires as of January 1st, 2026.
So think about that. The wealth, not income. The wealth. Money that was made years ago, taxes paid, all the rest of it. All the Pritzker accountants. Again, another extortion tax. And you know who would support that? Every low-rent fraud that is trying to pick a Democrat in the mayor's race in Chicago, Shirakistan. You know it as well as New York. There is no depth too low. As the face of greed is today what it's always been, the American communist, which is why not one Democrat talks about the money that's misappropriated, the food stamp money that's stolen, or any other benefit and entitlement. And not one Democrat in Illinois, not one, wants clean voter rolls as they cheer what Pritzker was really resisting. He's not resisting Trump. He's resisting integrity, truth, and the right amount of people capable and able to vote in our once great state, now a fracking punchline.
Suzanne, good morning. Illinois is among 48 states that were facing this lawsuit by the Department of Justice. So far, judges in 19 of those states, us now included, ordered not to hand over a current statewide voter registration list to the federal government. On Friday, a federal judge dismissed the lawsuit in Illinois, saying the DOJ cannot compel the Illinois Board of Elections to release sensitive information.
Corrupt as you want to be. Buying bull dung you can believe in, whether it's Silky G, the Irishman Kelly, or the fat slob that cheated on his own property taxes, Pritzker.